Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be cooking chapati and I have some flour, that is warm water, oil and a bit of salt. So I started by adding the flour to the basin that I'll be using to make the dough. Yeah, so just add the amount of dough that you want, flour that you want to the basin or the pot that you'll be making the dough in. Then I just added a pinch of salt because I didn't add it in the water. I'm using warm water, not cold. But you can use cold. I hear some people use cold and it just turns out okay. But in this case, I usually just use warm water. Then I added oil, a bit of oil to soften the dough. Yeah, so once I did that, I proceeded to just add the water and started mixing everything together. Yeah, so just add a bit of water as you go, you mix, you add water until it forms a fine consistency. I just kept adding the water. Then at this point, the water was overwhelmed the flour. Then so I just added more flour into the basin. Yeah, so you get the drift. You just knead until it forms a fine consistency. You're going to see how it will turn out. Yeah, so I just kept kneading it like that. Yeah, so it took me about 10 minutes to reach to this point. I just kept kneading it and adding flour and water as I went along. So the point to check is if the dough is no longer sticking to your hand, then it should be fine. So I just continued kneading it some more. The total amount of time that will take you to make the dough is about 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, so since I was satisfied the way it looked, I just covered it and I let it sit for 2 hours. You can leave it for 1 hour, but it is important you let it sit that the gluten can form. So after 2 hours, I just removed it. That's how it looked. So I just removed it from the basin and put it on the table. Yeah, I divided it into two parts, and I added a bit of flour on top of the table. Yeah, so what I was doing at this juncture was I wanted to stretch it and form small balls that I'll be using to make the chapatis. Yeah, so I just divided it into two parts because it was a bit big to do it in one part. That's nice. Tiny, tiny fingers there. Yeah, so I just stretched it. Make sure you stretch it well so that you can add a bit of oil. I just added a bit of oil on top of it after stretching it. Someone was trying to help me there. Yeah, so I just added a bit of oil and stretched it into the entire dough. Yeah, so at this point you just want to cut it. In this one I cut it into 4 balls. Just cut it like that. Then you roll it. You roll it. Oh, I added a bit of flour so that the oil can stick. Yeah, just add a bit, add some flour, though it's not a must, really. Yeah, so I just rolled it like that and pinned it down and yeah, just made a ball. After this process, after making all the balls, I let them rest for 20 minutes before I started the cooking process. It's a process, guys. Cooking chapatis is a process. Yeah, so those are the all the balls that came from the entire dough. So I just covered it with a cloth and let it rest for 20 to 30 minutes. Then afterwards, after 30 minutes, I started the cooking process. So I was removing the doughs from the table where I wanted to stretch the chapati. So I just set them aside. Yeah, then I started rolling them one by one. Let me know down below how you make your chapatis and what you like to have them with. On this day, we were having them with beans. Yeah, but you can also have them with meat, peas, with tea on their own, whichever you like. Yeah, so once I rolled one, I put it into a hot pan. Not too hot though. Make sure that you regulate the heat so that they don't burn without before cooking properly. So just let the downward dry before flipping it over. Yeah, then I added a bit of oil on top of the dry part. Then I flipped it. You flipped it, you let it cook. It's important that you don't let it stay on the heat for too long because it might dry up. Yeah, so just regulate the heat. Should not be too long, should not overstay on the stove. So that's how the first one looks. Yeah, so I just continued rolling them one by one and adding them to the pan. Some were quite small, guys. The balls are not in one size, so I could not over roll it. It could be too thin. I hope you get it. So the size depended on the size of the balls that I created. So if the ball was too small, I could not overstretch it. That's why this one looks a bit small. Yeah, compared to the first one, that is. Yeah, so just the same drill, just put it on the stove, let it dry on the downside, you flip it over, you add some oil, yeah, then just continue cooking it and you regulate the heat. So yes, that's how the second one looks. It's okay now. So I kept on doing that until I cooked the entire batch. So kindly guys, remember to subscribe to my channel and like this video and rate this video down below. How do you think I did? Where did I go wrong? Where did I go right? Yeah, so that we can learn from each other. There were only 7, so it didn't take too much time to cook. Yes, that's how they turned out. Yeah, so that's how they look. Yeah, so thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Kindly like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you on another video. They were very soft. Yeah.